Thank you, everybody, for joining our webinar today. We're here to talk about marketing trends and guidance, both in Q4, but also going into 2026. So we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening right now and how we think marketing is going to shift a little bit in the coming year. Before we dive in too far, I will mention for anybody who missed it that our lead designer, Nicole, kicked off this three-part series last week. She talked about brand strategy. She unpacked what went wrong in the American Eagle Sid Sweeney collaboration. She unpacked things like the Cracker Barrel debacle, and gave some insights on that, but also on how we as small business owners and other people in the space can think about branding in a way that's much more accessible than how we often think about it in like a strategic, psychological, really high in the sky sort of concept. And then our pre-show entertainment today, Regina, has her show, her series, her webinar coming up next week to talk about event strategy. So if you missed that portion of the pre-show, she's going to talk about how we think about events strategically, how those can fit into your overall brand strategy, into your overall marketing strategy, and how those in-person engagements can be meaningful growth engines for your company. So, I do want this to be in a interactive engagement today. So if anybody has questions, feel free to drop a question in the chat. We'll also have a Q&A at the end here. So chime in whenever you would like. Regina is going to help me keep an eye on the chat. So if I get all caught up, if she can kind of nudge me and let me know that I missed something in the chat here. But for today, we'll do a quick overview of who I am, who Poetica is. We'll do a really quick 101 on marketing. I'm actually really excited for that because I think we as marketers and industry leaders and agencies, we have a tendency to overcomplicate marketing. And I think it's very valuable to consistently come back to the simplest definition possible to keep us in line. We'll talk about some marketing trends and then we'll leave you with some final thoughts for today. So let's meet the team. You met Regina in the pre-show entertainment. She is our event strategist. I'm Pat, the founder and creative director. Nicole, who spoke last week, is our very talented lead designer, and we are Poetica. The phrase Poetica comes from the phrase Ars Poetica, which means the art of language or the art of poetry. We are storytellers. We tell stories visually, experientially, in the written word. And that's what we're really passionate about is helping companies tell their story better. So to kick things off, let's talk about marketing and what marketing is. Because like I said, we have a tendency to overcomplicate marketing, and it doesn't have to be complicated. There is, and rightfully so, a lot of literature. I have a lot of it on the bookshelves behind me about what good marketing is and how we should approach it. I've written some of that noise as well. So I've contributed to that. There are podcasts on marketing, there are webinars like this on marketing. And everyone approaches it from different angles because there's a lot of research to go into, there is a lot of psychology to go into, and if you don't spend all day in this, it feels very overwhelming. So I will leave you with, or I'll start off this conversation today with my personal definition of marketing. And I think that if today's conversation becomes overwhelming at any point, especially as we get into some of the research, as we start looking at any of the trends, if any of this feels like, oh no, like this is a full fire hose of information, that's okay. We can always return to what great marketing is. And I think at its core, great marketing is about the right message to the right people in the right place at the right time. And, we can talk for hours and hours about like, oh, should I be using TikTok? What about Snapchat? Is ChatGPT right for me? All of those are incidental to the right message, to the right people, the right place at the right time. So the message, how are we addressing pain points? How are we talking about our value proposition? to the people. Who is your target audience, especially your target audience in a specific campaign? And how do we drill down into a really specific ICP or customer profile that's right for that campaign? In the right place? What platform are we going on? Is this on social media? Is it a billboard next to your store? Is it a banner ad on a website that gets a lot of traffic from your target audience? And is it the right time? Are we hitting them at the right time of the year? Are we hitting them at the right time in the buyer cycle? Are we hitting them at the right time in their life? And as long as we can check off the boxes to these four priorities: message, people, place, and time, we have the key ingredients for a great marketing campaign. So again, if any of this becomes overwhelming, return to this message. I think this is a really great grounding exercise for overall marketing. So with that said, let's talk about some trends. And we can't talk about marketing trends in 2025 without talking about the great big elephant in the room. What's the deal with AI? What's the deal with artificial intelligence? What's the deal with ChatGPT and every other thing that clogs up my inbox every day in my newsletters? Um, because marketers, and me being one of them, love AI. SurveyMonkey says that 88% of marketers rely on AI in their current jobs. And of those marketers who are already using AI, the vast majority of them are simply using it to create content faster than ever. It is a really, really powerful tool in the overall marketing toolkit. So when we think about all of the different levers that we can pull, social media, organic campaigns, influencer marketing, paid ad campaigns, in-person activations, AI is just another really, really valuable tool. We have found it very useful in ideation, content support. It's sort of like having a multi-talented intern right by our side, but it's a double-edged sword too. And although we as marketers and business owners might be really passionate about it, consumers don't always feel the same way. In fact, a Nielsen report found that more than half of consumers don't feel comfortable on websites that are obviously using heavily AI generated articles and stories. And they actually feel distrustful. Ooh, my camera went off. They actually feel distrustful towards companies that advertise on those websites. So if like, for example, if I'm if a consumer is on a website and that website is obviously promoting some AI generated content and they see an ad on that website, they're going to feel distrustful of that ad too, and the person or the brand behind that ad. So we have a world where we have businesses that are trying to embrace AI to cut costs and move faster. And we have consumers that are saying, we don't like this. And that is incredibly dangerous for us as business owners because we don't want to alienate our audience. And all of this is giving birth to this term AI slop. So if you haven't heard this before, this is a phrase, this is like our 2025 spam. So spam used to be like, and still is, like all of the unwanted text messages that you get on your phone and all of the unwanted emails that you get in your inbox. And AI slop is sort of like the 2025 version of this, where creating new content has become so easy that people are just churning it out, not even really focusing on quality. They're just focusing on quantity. So this is really often low quality media. So writing, images, video, and sometimes it's just really weird stuff that gets out into the internet, like a Jesus shrimp. And some of it doesn't have any sort of rhyme or reason, but it's getting out there. And well, what this is partially given birth to is entire accounts and conversations in comment threads that are completely AI generated, where we have bots talking to each other instead of people talking to each other. And all of this is leading us down a path of getting to what's known as the dead internet theory, which, if you're not familiar, this concept has been around for a long time, but it basically says that at a certain point, the internet is no longer going to be used by people. The vast majority of it is just going to be computers and bots and AI programs talking to each other. And a bot will post a piece of content, and then a bunch of other bots will comment on it, and the original bot will respond as well. We're already seeing this on platforms like X, which have a lot of bot traffic. There are some studies that say about 50% of website traffic is not human. So it's not being, those aren't always website visitors that we're seeing. Well, it is terrifying on our websites. And this is a crazy thing for us to deal with, both as marketers, as business owners, for us as people, as consumers, as people who use the internet every single day. This is a crazy, crazy thing to think about. AI is really changing everything. And it's especially changing things in marketing. So we've talked about this a little bit on social media. It's making content easier to create for social media. And again, people can tell. I see like a lot of logos for like a friend started a plumbing business recently. I hadn't talked to him since high school, but we're connected on Facebook, and like his logo was obviously AI generated. His word mark was obviously AI generated. Not that that's inherently a good thing or a bad thing, but it shows a shortcut there. AI is changing advertising for good and for bad. We're seeing Meta, the Meta platform, so like Facebook ads rolling out their own internal AI tools. We're seeing the same thing happen on Google Ads. And what's crazy is like they're doing a great job. In a lot of instances, and the early research shows that these AI influenced ads are actually doing a better job of converting potential customers. We're seeing AI change the way we think about search, the way we think about SEO, the way we think about GEO, the way people and consumers look to solve problems isn't always with a Google search to start. Sometimes it's with a ChatGPT search or inquiry or having a conversation. Call centers and customer service centers are now relying on AI bots to talk to people and help move them through the phone bank and understand what they want. With content creation, we're able to create high quality content faster than ever. We can use AI for strategy. We can use it to inform our sales process. Everything is changing for better and for worse. And it's not always uh, good. It has these advantages, but what it's ultimately reminding everyone is that we want human connections. As consumers, I don't care if you can design a new shoe with AI. What I care about is, can you provide me with a comfortable shoe that's going to help me run farther, faster, with more energy? So, with all of this in mind, gets us to a big question. What's a small business owner supposed to do in this world where the competition has ratcheted up because companies that have the resources or the foresight are embracing AI? They're figuring out how to use it, how to deploy it, how to steal more market share. And if we don't adopt some of these strategies and some of these insights, there's a good chance we could fall behind. And once we fall behind, it's really hard to catch back up until we get back onto that level tech field. Well, I think the future is all about balance because obviously AI is important, but it's just one tool out of many. And as we saw early on, people want human interactions. There's a new hunger for human engagement, especially with salespeople. There's a stat that I'll share a little bit later, but it looks at like Gen Z. Um, they're very comfortable working with AI bots to kind of figure out what they want and what they need, but they still prefer to engage with a human salesperson. So I think what we're going to see is a pivot in the way we think about sales. AI can still help in moving people through the marketing funnel. It can even help move them through the sales funnel. but we still probably across the board are going to want a human engagement to help people answer questions, to feel good about it. And all of this really leads to things like live events. We talked about this in the pre-show a little bit. And all jokes aside, live events, so think about networking engagements, webinars like this, seminars, block parties, holiday parties, all of these are opportunities to connect directly with your target audience, but they're also an opportunity to build relationships, to make those long-lasting connections. I think that you might also see a resurgence in influencer marketing. I think a lot of companies, especially small businesses, forget about influencer marketing and often feels like something that's out of reach. But with the right strategy, influencer marketing is incredibly affordable. It can be more impactful and have a higher ROI than traditional advertising. And the other nice thing is it gives you an opportunity to reach your target audience with another human uh, individual, another human personality, and a personality that's already trusted in the space. And that can help you get around some of the AI limitations. And I will acknowledge very quickly, for the sake of this, that there are also AI influencers that are getting into the market. And if you haven't seen them yet, it's wild. There's a like very stereotypical American blonde AI that is like an influencer and helps sell products and things like that. And that is a future of marketing for a certain demographic. It might not be right for you, and traditional influencer marketing could be. We got a question here. Oh, that was still Regina. Um, Speaking engagements, I think, are going to be a really nice differentiator to help you cut through the noise. So think about when you go to conferences, you go to local events, and you see somebody up on stage. That is a huge opportunity to cut through all of the noise on social media, online, on TV, and connect directly with your target audience. Opportunities like volunteering within the community are a opportunity to set your company apart, to build real connections. And the same thing with salespeople, as I mentioned earlier. Salespeople, traditional salespeople, human flesh and blood salespeople are not going away. AI is another tool to help differentiate them, to help them stand out, to make them more competitive, but they're not going anywhere. Now, with all of this talk about human interaction, social proof becomes more important. I think that's true for Q4. I think it's true for the year ahead. Your reviews, your testimonials, the experiences that you provide, the case studies that you publish, all of these will become more important than ever. So it is essential to reach out to your current clientele, to your past clientele, ask for reviews, get reviews on Google. If you have testimonials, get them onto your website, get them onto your social media. If you have pictures of your team with your customers, share those in places where people can see them. If you have case studies, get them onto your website. The more that you can show your product or your services advantages to other members of your target audience, the better you're going to stand out in a hyper competitive space. Um, and that leads us to another point where we need to own our audiences. We talk about this all the time. I've been talking about this since I started Poetica in 2018. It's really, really important to own your audience. And by that, I mean to have your own email list, have your own mailing list, have a list of phone numbers and numbers that you can potentially text. Even if you don't use text message right now in your marketing, keep those handy and keep a running updated list of that. And the reason for that is, again, we're in a space that's becoming more and more competitive because the technology is making it easier. Your smartest competitors are adopting AI in ways that I probably haven't even heard or thought about yet. And you probably haven't even thought or heard about yet. And they are doing everything in their power to steal market share away from you. They can't take a list of email addresses that you contact on a monthly or bi-monthly or weekly basis. They can't steal your mailing address that you might reach out to once a month. They can't steal the phone numbers that you might call once a quarter just to check in and say, how you doing? Um, Owning your audience is critical. In addition, so is building your audience. So having a way to get new email addresses, get new mailing addresses, get those phone numbers is really important because as you build those relationships, those sales become easier down the road and they're less likely to be stolen from you by your competitors. And once we have those lists, we need to be creating really, really meaningful content. So we started this conversation about AI talking about AI slop. These these bits of content that are, for all intents and purposes, just garbage, right? But when we have content on a website or on social media, we're saying something about your brand. We're saying something about your thought leadership, about the value you bring to the table. And if you're not putting your own spin on that, if you're not putting your own brand into that, you're doing nothing to differentiate yourself from the competition. And you are, in effect, just creating more slop. So we have to create meaningful content that really genuinely resonates with your audience and reflects well on your brand. So be thoughtful in the content you create for search engine optimization and generative engine optimization as well. Build real, meaningful connections on social media, engage in live events, and make sure that you're responding to pain points. Again, the thing that differentiates slop from meaningful content is relevance. So creating that content in a way that is meaningful to your audience will help you stand out and also help you stand out across against the competition. And as you're doing this, you want to make sure you share it across multiple channels. There's an asterisk here in that, we don't normally advocate for brands to be on each and every social media channel. And you don't have to have 20 different newsletters in 20 different segments. And you don't need to, pay for Hulu ads or anything like that. But the research shows us that multi-channel advertising and marketing is the way to go. And when we think about the way the market is evolving, we think about the way business is evolving. If we're not reaching out to our audience across multiple channels, somebody else is. And the, the research is really, really exciting about this. There was a recent study from Demandbase, which found that in one case, pairing display ads, so ads that would show up like in your browser, with email campaigns generated 5.7 times more leads and a 5.4 times higher revenue, which is crazy. Basically, we're talking about 5 times more leads and 5 times more money just by having two different channels for marketing. That's crazy. That's really, really good. And that's why having great, meaningful content across multiple channels is so valuable. And you can kind of pick and choose which channels you want to focus on, get really good at one or two, and then build it out across another. Don't push yourself too thin. Don't sacrifice quality for quantity, but really be intentional in Q4 and going into 2026, because that's going to help you make a bigger splash with your target audience. So, with all of that in mind, use AI. Absolutely use AI. If you've been hesitant, if you've experimented but aren't too sure, yes, go ahead, use it, but keep it balanced. I think balance is going to be a key word over the next couple of years here. And here's that stat I was talking about earlier. 60% of Gen Z consumers love the speed and convenience of AI-powered customer service, but they still want human interaction when it comes to handling complex issues. So this is something really important to think about for your website, for your social media, but also for your brand overall. AI can be your little sidekick. It can be a wonderful little chat tool. It can be a wonderful addition to your website and your overall brand experience. But if you don't have another human being who's accessible to help walk people through different challenges that they're facing, you could probably. Oh, I missed a question from Renee. Uh, Renee, I missed when that came in.
Sorry, it was the last slide
Ah,
about
so can
the
you explain more in advertising? Um, could you give me a little bit more context, Renee? Was the question really just around like what does multiple channels mean? Regina, will you hum the Jeopardy theme for us?
Are we able to unmute people? No?
I could give her, I mean, she comes, I'm happy to unmute her. She comes up on stage for a moment. I don't want to put her in that space if she doesn't
I
want to
know,
be in
I'm
that
sorry to
space.
put you.
Let's come back to that. We can address that in the Q&A at the end here.
Put a pin
Um,
in it.
put a pin in it. So that balance becomes really important. Um, Basically, what I was getting at is AI increases competition. It's increasing competition. It's going to continue increasing competition. So we all need to be ready to market smarter. We can still be really competitive with small budgets, especially with AI. But the key differentiator between good campaigns and bad campaigns is still going to be how intelligently we approach them. So let's end with some final thoughts here. A keyword that I haven't mentioned yet, but I found was a big theme for all of this is empathy. And I think the companies that are going to win long term are the ones that focus on empathy and focus on messaging the right place, the right time to the right audience. I think the companies that do these two things really well are going to stand out for a very long time. And I do want to spend a couple minutes on this word empathy. We don't use it a lot in marketing. Um, we don't even use it a lot when we talk to clients, but it is a theme that pops up over and over and over and over again. And if you can start thinking about marketing through the lens of empathy, everything becomes so much easier because empathy pushes us to understand what life is like for somebody else. So obviously, this is great for relationships and relation building and communicating with other people, but it pushes us to understand the problems, the hangups, the concerns, um, all of the driving factors that push our audiences forward. And if we can approach them with empathy, we have a better understanding of their pain points and we can create more compelling copy and content that resonates with them. And that leads us directly into great messaging in the right place at the right time to the right audience. So if we can do those two things, I think we are all prepared for success in Q4, in 2026, and beyond, because these strategies don't go out of style. AI is a wonderful tool in the toolkit. There might be something else tomorrow that emerges and becomes another wonderful tool in the toolkit. But at the end of the day, we're selling to people and they respond to empathy and messaging. So I think that is it for today. Um, you can still check out the rest of the series. Part one is on YouTube. So if you missed our session on branding, that is available on our YouTube channel. This session will be on YouTube, maybe not later today, but probably tomorrow. So if there's anything you want to revisit, the recording will be on there. And then, dear Regina, I don't know if this is well known, but we are married. So, dear Regina, I am legally allowed to say that. Uh,
Sometimes we have to explain that at like networking events. We really are married.
And then she's going to do one on event strategy. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me directly at patrick@poeticamarketing.com. You can also call me and you can learn more about us at poeticamarketing.com. So, do we have any questions? Renee, Did you want to go into any more detail about your question or anything else? If you want to drop it into the comments, I'm around, or if anybody wants to raise their hand, I will unmute them and we can have a real conversation.
While we wait for questions to come in, do you want to go back to that? Oh, she says, can you unmute me?
Yeah. Hey, Renee. Let me see. You're good. You're good. Go for it.
Hi there, Patrick and
Hey,
Regina. How are you?
good.
Good.
It's good to hear from you again.
Thank you. Likewise. My question is about the one slide, as Regina pointed out. I don't remember what you said because I didn't understand it. So if I don't
Oh, great.
understand it, I can't
That's a
remember
great,
it.
great. Thank you. That's wonderful
Yep, yep,
feedback. So
yep,
let's talk about it.
yes. So when you were going on and talking about integrating display ads with email
Yeah.
campaigns yielding blah, blah, that, whatever you were saying there, and if you have a script, if you could go back to the
Yeah.
portion that talked about ads. Like, I would like to know if like Facebook ads are really beneficial. You know, they
Mhm.
seem to be quite affordable, but what is your research showing as far as Facebook ads and are they, kind of out of style or are they still in fashion and bringing an ROI?
Wonderful, multi-layered question. So let's get into it. So the main point of this slide was really just to demonstrate that having your marketing through multiple channels is a big win. And not sticking solely to LinkedIn or solely to email. Doubling up on multiple communication channels is incredibly valuable. And it's valuable for a few different reasons. One, um, there's that line that everyone uses where it's like, hey, we need 7 touches before somebody remembers us and is ready to do business, blah, 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 blah. And so having multiple channels empowers us to get in front of a targeted individual through multiple devices, platforms, etc. So in this example from Demand Base, in this stat, what they found was companies that doubled up on advertising banner ads uh, and used email campaigns at the same time basically saw 5 times better results. So that's just kind of where that stat came from, and I was just using that as a demonstration. To answer your question directly about Facebook ads, what's really interesting on there is um, it is getting more expensive. Advertising in general is getting more expensive, and that's happening for a number of different reasons. Um, One of the driving factors, of course, is inflation, cost of business. We also work so much on a bidding system that we're constantly working to outbid each other. Platform becomes more popular, so of course that's going to drive up pricing as well. A couple things that I think are noteworthy are the AI integration into these platforms. Um, it used to be pretty optional, and now it's becoming like almost compulsory. So I was in like we don't position Poetica as an ad agency. We are not an ad agency. If you want more stuff, go to an ad agency. But we were in the platform yesterday, and basically they're like AI first at this point. So as you build a piece of content out, it is going to be saying that it used to be like you build your own audience. Now it says like, hey, we're going to build your audience for you with AI unless you check this box. So that it seems kind of disarming because like, who the heck are you? You're like, I know who my target audience is. You don't tell me what that's about. It's actually really, really good. And the research that is coming out shows that the AI in these ad platforms is phenomenal, regularly outperforms, um, you know, people who've been doing this for years. And there's sort of pros and cons in terms of pricing. We are seeing um, the AI bring pricing down a little bit. However, what we're also seeing in some cases is cost per conversions, cost per new clients going up a little bit. And it depends on what source you look at. Sometimes the leads themselves are higher and the cost per acquisition is lower. Overall, advertising is getting a little bit more expensive, but um, there, I think it's getting better and it's getting easier to use. I think ends up being a really big problem for ad agencies traditionally because it used to be that these were so complex and they had so many variables involved that you really wanted somebody with like 15 years of experience to build out your campaign. And now they're, putting AI and just baking it in and saying like, let this AI do the thing and it'll get great results for you. So it's a wild time right now. But did that answer your question, Renee?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
No problem.
What you were just explaining kind of goes along with what Erica's question is. It popped in a couple minutes ago. I've been seeing an ad for video AI job search service recently. The person speaking in the video is supposed to look like an ordinary person using the service, but it is clearly AI and not a real person to me. How do you think that this ad is meant to appeal to anyone? Is it just supposed to trick people who don't know what AI looks like? And I know I'm leaning towards an answer, but you're the marketing guru,
Yeah.
so go for it.
So the so I'm approaching this without having seen the ad and not having the context of who the company is, what their target audience is. So my initial response is, who are they going after, and is this something that would resonate with that individual? For me personally, as a consumer, I don't have a lot of appetite for AI if it isn't supposed to be entertaining to me. I will look at like all of the goofy AI stuff on like Instagram. I will laugh at it. I'll share it with my friends. Ha ha ha. As a consumer, I don't want to see it and I hate it. And it just feels, it's meant to trick people. It very well could be. I don't want to see it. And I think that, that's an important point. So a couple things. Um, I think, well, this actually isn't true. So let me hedge this a little bit. People who use AI regularly or even casually, I think are better primed to identify AI generated content when they see it. So I use AI a lot. I'm sure you do as well. I spend a lot of time on the internet. So I can pretty quickly tell just with a gut check, and probably in a couple years the AI is going to get so good that we're not going to be able to tell, and I don't know what we'll do then. But what's interesting is there's some research out that shows that, of course, the older generation um, it's a little bit easier to fool with this kind of stuff. But interestingly, even the younger generation is having a very, like the teens coming up right now are having a difficult time discerning between what's real and what's not real. And they also just don't have that sort of lifetime of experience of developing a filter in news and things like that, that they just don't have that skill set yet. So it's very possible that this is a scam. Regina in the pre-show was talking about a podcast called Criminal, and they have a great episode out right now, very recently, about an AI company that developed a bot that is designed to scam scammers, basically. So it is the voice of an old lady who picks up and it is meant to thwart individuals who are like pretending to be the IRS and trying to steal credit card numbers. And she is designed to keep them on the phone for as long as possible. And she's designed to like comply, but never actually give a credit card number and never actually do the things that they want her to do. And she is designed to basically waste as much time as possible so that they can't go scam other people. So it's an interesting time for scammers and people who are trying to bring down scammers because there's ammunition and firepower on both sides. That was a long-winded response. Did that answer your question, Erica?
You could unmute her
Oh
as
yeah,
well. I
let's.
mean, if she wants to speak about it, but I was also thinking that if it's not a scam and people are using AI and like some of us out there can tell that it's AI, that's one thing. It may be that they're not trying to trick anyone. They're just saying like, "Hey, look, we used AI. Here's our product, here's our thing. We can save you time and money." And it's maybe all part of that brand. You just never know. Oh,
Yeah, it might
oh,
be.
you stopped sharing. I was like,
I
what's
did,
that?
I did. Any other last minute questions from anybody? It bothers me that ads are appearing like they are having real customer testimonials when they clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have thoughts on that, Regina?
Well, I was gonna say on Amazon, you see like customer reviews and you'll see like clearly the same pictures or the same product, but it's fake. And it takes a little while to tell which is like the real product and which is the the scam. And I don't really know how to fight that or what to do about it, but
Yeah. I think
yeah.
I think that gets us back to the basics of marketing and storytelling. To have a really compelling case study, to have a really compelling story is marketing gold. And you can try to manufacture that through AI. I think you're right, Erica, that it's really hard to generate that authenticity when it doesn't come from a source of truth. There are definitely ways you can improve upon that. Think about like the like for me the like litmus test for how sophisticated AI video was for a while people were just like making videos of Will Smith eating spaghetti. And if you look at like early compilations of these like videos, they're all like super goofy. Spaghetti's like flying all over the air. He's like slurping it up and it's smacking him in the face. And it looks wild and ridiculous. And like when that first came out, it was like, oh, I know they're never gonna be able to like make real videos. And now like you can generate a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti and he looks all prim and proper and it looks great. But there's something still about like the uncanny valley where that sense of realism and heart seems to be missing. So it's a complicated space, but I think that um, I think it's a reminder that authenticity, especially for us as people, wins out at the end of the day.
I was gonna say this reminds me like fake testimonials. That reminds me of like commercials when down at the bottom it says like actor portrayal.
Yeah,
and
right.
and maybe one day we'll have to have like little disclaimers of like this
This
is
is
just an
AI
AI.
generated. Yeah,
AI generated. And
right.
that's like a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we log off today? Great. Well, thank you, everybody. This will be up on YouTube hopefully within the next 48 hours, so you can re-review it then. If you do have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you all next week for Regina's webinar.
whoop whoop.
Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.
See ya.